Welcome back to the channel, guys. Now what you just saw was just a clip of a photo shoot that we just finished doing using the Godox V1 Pro. This was sent to us by Godox to check it out and see what we thought about it. So let's jump into the review. So for the longest time now, I have been using the Godox V1, just the regular Godox V1. This is the V1 Pro. Now, one thing that sets this flash ahead of the other one is it is really good on heat dissipation. You can do, I think it's 100 shots continuous with the V1 Pro before you run into any overheating issues, or I think it's like 35 with this one. So, but there are some other things that set this flash apart from a lot or almost all other flashes. So let's take it out and let me show you what we got. So the first thing you're going to notice about this flash is it comes with this. This is a little sub flash that you can put right onto the front of the flash. You just put it right on front. It's kind of tricky to get in. All right, and now we are on there. Now you can see the flash right here. Now, you might be thinking, well, what are you going to do? Why would you want such a little flash in the front? Well, if you're shooting directly like this at your client, you're not going to see a big difference. But when you start bouncing your flash, especially bouncing behind you, when you're doing this, as you know, you get some light fall off and you might be a little underexposed. So what this does, we'll shoot a little pop of light right at your client. That way you don't lose any of the light, because you will lose some fall off a lot of times. Now, this is manual only, and it's, I think, full power to 1/64th power. You can turn it off. You can take it off if you want. Some people don't like the look that it gives because it is a direct flash. I don't mind that so bad because I'm a child of the 80s. That's what we had when we first started shooting. We didn't have it set up where you could have all these multiple flashes going off like you can now. But it is very handy. So if you put this side by side with the V1 Pro here and the V1 here, you can tell the difference with the flash in the front. This one does not have it. Now, it is one more thing that you'll have to keep up with because it is a manual only. So if you're a beginner photography, it's going to be one more thing you're going to have to learn with your flash. So it's like learning another flash on top of this flash. So if you're a brand new beginner, you may want to you can go ahead and get this, it's fine, but I would probably take this off for a while until you master this part. Once you get this down, then I would add this flash. But one thing I found about this flash is it's also very accurate. It's not just the advantage of having this, but it seems to me to be a little bit more accurate than my V1. Maybe it's just the two that I have, I don't know. But it is what it is. And I'm gonna show you guys some pictures that I did to Chandra, where we were on a tennis court, and I got some pictures with this outside. And then I'm going to show you guys some pictures inside, because inside is where you'll really see the difference with this little sub flash. Out in the sun, you're not going to see a lot. This is not going to do a whole lot out in the sun. Another cool thing about this flash is the battery that it has. You can now discharge your battery right here with the USB. You don't have to plug it into the wall and run cords everywhere. You can be driving down the road charging your battery if you need to. It is a very, very handy flash, and you might be thinking, well, who is this for? Well, event photographers is a yes and a no. I think I would probably put myself in the categories of an event photographer because I shoot a lot of weddings. With weddings, you're going to be at different distances all the time. And if I'm shooting bouncing, or if I'm shooting straight on, whatever it is at the wedding, say at a reception, I'm going TTL because I'm constantly moving. I might be 3 feet away from my subject. 2 seconds later, I might be 10 feet away from my subject. Well, TTL is going to figure that out for me. Whereas if I've got this going, I've got to do it manually. So you've got to run around the room and sure to figure out, oh, I'm 3 feet away, now I'm 10 feet away, now I'm 15 feet away. What power do I need that on? So it can be a plus or a minus, a headache, as you might say. I think inside is where it really shines. And you will see that in the pictures that we're going to shoot of my wife in the studio. I'm only going to be using this, and we're going to shoot her pictures, and I will show you what it looks like directly up, bounced behind with this on and this off, so you can see the difference. Now, one thing that's different is the price. This is $329. This is $199. So there's a good bit of price difference, but this flash does offer a lot. It is a lot more of a pro version. I mean, with the battery being like it is, it also has the TCM. I don't know if they call it a TCM on this one or not, but if you're shooting in TTL and you get the right exposure and you're going to stay at that same distance, that same feet, you can flip that button and it'll take the power and put it into manual and use the same exact power it just used on the last shot that it did TTL in. That way you don't get any variations using TTL, because if I've got if I'm doing 10 shots and everybody's the same distance from me in TTL, you will get a little variance in exposure because TTL is just trying to measure and meter all that to give you the right exposure. So it won't always be exactly dead on. Another good reason to always shoot raw so you can fix these things, but that's mostly event photographers, wedding photographers, that sort of thing. Now, if you're shooting in a studio, unless you're using it as an off-camera flash, this probably will not come into play. So to answer the question who it's for, I think this is a better flash than this, just for the simple reasons of the power output, the way it's designed is going to make it a better flash. It is a little bit more expensive, so maybe you don't need that much. Maybe the V1 is enough. The V1 is a great flash, nothing wrong with it. They both have the same type menu on the back. The biggest difference is the battery, the heat dissipation, and most of all, the sub flash right here. So it kind of depends on what type of lighting you like. If you like the direct lighting right at somebody, which I don't mind it that much. I know a lot of photographers on YouTube hate direct flash. I don't hate it that much. I think it looks kind of cool. But again, if you're at an event and this is on, it's shooting in manual. So you're going to have to adjust and know exactly where you're at. That's why I highly recommend raw. That way, if you're a little bit off, a little bit over, a little bit under, you'll still be fine. So I'll continue telling you more about this flash in a minute. Let's jump in and take a look at the pictures that we shot of Cassandra at the tennis court. I think she did a fantastic job on these pictures. She's such a wonderful model. She just does a fantastic job. But those pictures were shot using this flash outside. And when we get back, we'll take a look at what this can do inside. Okay guys, that was the pictures that we shot of her outside at the tennis court. I think she just did a fantastic job. And I think the flash did a wonderful job too. It wasn't completely sunny that day. We had a little bit of overcast, which kind of helps because really if you're outside shooting in the sun, like we were in an open tennis court, not in much shade, then you're almost going to need a stronger flash. You're going to need an off-camera flash like an 8200 or a 400 or so on to get that. But I think the overcast really helped that day. So now that we have seen Cassandra's pictures, let's take a look at what we can get on the inside with this flash. So let's take a look. Okay, we just shot the pictures and then here is where you're going to see the huge difference that sub flash will make. So let's have a look. So the first image right here, this one we shot straight at her with no sub flash on. So that's just normal straight at her shot, just like any regular flash. Then this shot, we turn on the sub flash. You can tell a slight difference under the chin, no huge difference in those two, but once we go to bounce, this next image, this is shot with the bounce straight up at the ceiling with the sub flash on, This one is sub flash off. Now you see the difference under her chin. There's sub flash on, sub flash off. So it puts a lot of light under her chin. I'll show you one more time. Sub flash on and sub flash off. So under the chin, it's making a huge difference. Well, from there, I go to bouncing the light behind me. Now that's behind me with no sub flash on. This is bouncing behind me with sub flash on. So this is bouncing behind me with no sub flash. The sub flash, by the way, is at 1/32 power. That is no sub flash. So you see under the chin, we get some shadow. And then when we turn the bounce flash on, when we turn the sub flash on, it takes the shadow out from underneath the chin. So one more look. So no sub flash, shadow under the chin, sub flash on, shadow almost gone. So anyway, that is a huge difference that sub will make. You can bounce a lot, because I know you guys have always had the problem. Anytime you bounce, and the further you bounce away, the more light fall off you can get. And then you end up with some weird shadows. You end up with less direct light, which is good, but you also end up with some weird shadows, especially under the chin, that sort of stuff. So this way, you can bounce wherever you want, and then that little pop of light, if you can get it right between full power and 1/64 power, will put just a little bit of light under the chin and in those shadowy areas. Now, I may have had that sub flash just a tad hot. I shot it at 1/32. Maybe I should have been at 1/64. It was a little bit brighter on her face than maybe I would have liked it to be, but I think it was definitely close enough. And these are straight out of the camera, so you know I could edit these. Now they were edited in Portrait Pro, but the exposure and everything is right out of the camera. I didn't make any exposure adjustments or anything because I wanted you to see exactly what it looked like. So probably 1/64 of a second would have taken just a little touch of that flash off and lightened it just a tad that way, because I think the sub flash was just a little bit hot, but that's on me. But I think it was close enough, but by the time I put it in Photoshop, run it through RAW, it would be perfect. But like I said, I just wanted you guys to see straight out of the camera as far as exposure goes. So anyway, that is my thoughts on the flash. I think it is a fantastic flash. It's a little more advanced, so if you are new, I mentioned this earlier, it's going to be a little extra to deal with, a little sub flash. But you can go ahead and get the flash and learn your way all the way through it. Once you master the one main flash on the top, then turn on your sub flash and go from there and learn it, because it will come in handy even if you only need it every so often. That could be the one picture that sells $1,500 worth of pictures. You never know. So anyway, guys, I just think they had a great idea when they came up with that sub flash. I really like it. And I find that flash to be a little more accurate than my regular V1. So I don't know, maybe I'll run some more tests on those. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, and I know a little of this might have got confusing to you, no problem, dropping it down the bottom. I'll be more than happy to respond and let you know if I know the answer. So anyway, guys, I appreciate it. For helping you out, give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. You guys have a great day, and I will leave links at the bottom for this. Thanks.